The following is a special presentation of Ashland University's Journalism and Digital Media Department.
Good evening. Welcome to tonight's debate. My name is Lindsey Queen. Tonight's debate is the first of a series of 2 debates sponsored by the Ashland County Young Republicans between County Commissioner candidates Michael Barrett, Mike Bender, Denny Biddle, John Haddam, and Justin Van Stee. Tonight's debate is being simulcast live on AUTV-20 and also live on the radio on 88.9 FM WRDL. The broadcast is being produced live by the students and faculty of the Department of Journalism and Digital Media of Ashland University. The format for tonight's debate will involve opening statements, questions, and closing statements. Each candidate will have up to 2 minutes for their opening statements, at which point we will proceed with 4 questions. Each candidate will have up to 2 minutes to respond, and the other candidates will have 1 minute to respond to the previous candidate's answers. There are a total of 5 Republican candidates. However, our facility purposes will have only 3 candidates debate first, and then the remaining 2. All 5 candidates will be asked the same questions, but please note that during the first portion of the program, the remaining 2 candidates will be in a secluded room, unable to see and hear the first portion of the debate. We wish all 3 candidates the best of luck. The 5 candidates drew straws beforehand, and Mr. Haddam, Mr. Barrett, and Mr. Biddle have been chosen for the first portion for tonight's debate. Mr. Biddle will begin on the opening statements.
Well, Lindsey, thank you very much for inviting me. I think it's an important part of the election process to be able to have these debates. I'm just going to give you a little background to who I am. Denny Biddle, local business guy. Been in business since 1989 locally. Have a family here in Ashland. Born and raised in Ashland. My family lives in Ashland. My business experience is what I think I can bring to the table. With the different varieties of businesses I've been involved with, from bowling alleys to John Deere dealerships to car washes to oil changes. Trinity Lutheran Church Council member at present, YMC board member, past board member, and current building committee member. So I think all of those give me a real good background to be able to do the decision making, which I think is critical. In small business, you always have decisions to make on a daily basis. The important thing is you gather all the information that you can gather, and then you make the decision. So I think that's one important aspect that I have, is 25 years of that, which I think is very important. From a budgetary standpoint, obviously in small business, you work with pennies. Pennies turns into dollars, and I think that's the way the county should also run. So those are my kind of opening statements. I think that it'll be interesting to do tonight. I'm excited to see this. I think it'll be fun, and my 2 minutes are up.
Thank you, Mr. Biddle. Mr. Barrett.
Thank you, Lindsey, and I'd like to thank the Young Republicans for sponsoring this debate. A little bit about myself. I'm actually a faculty member here at Ashland University. I've been here since 1991. I teach criminal justice and sociology. Although I am leaving this year. This is my last year as a full-time faculty member. I guess I want to point out that although I was born in Cleveland and spent a good deal of my life in Cleveland, I chose to move here in 2007 when I married my wife Ann, who is formerly Ann LaRue, is now Ann Barrett. We have 2 young children, a 4-year-old and an 18-month-old. I also recently moved my parents here to Brethren Care because I've really felt the community is very receptive to both children and to elderly people, and the overall community environment is very good in my opinion. A couple things I do want to point out. Although I don't have a formal business background, I have been involved in fundraising for organizations. I've been a treasurer of a large regional organization. I've been an office holder in an Ohio organization. So I'm familiar with budgets and those kinds of things. I think more so, though, I intend on making the commissioner's position my full-time job. I won't be distracted by other businesses' interests. I don't have any other business interests. I will be overall committed to this. It will be my full-time job. I will spend my time doing that. Additionally, I have experience in legal research and doing research in general and problem solving. I also do want to point out, besides working at AU, I'm also a part-time police officer in Loudonville. I've been in law enforcement my entire career. I started with Cleveland, worked for the Ohio Attorney General, and now I work for Loudonville part-time as keep myself connected to the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Haddam?
Yes, thank you, Lindsay, and thank you, young Republicans. This will be a challenge for me. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and when I was 16, I started work. And after I graduated from school, I worked myself through college, through a community college. I went through Cleveland State University, and I got a bachelor's degree in business management. I worked for a Caterpillar dealer, training people how to take things apart, put them back together, and I became a parts manager for that company. After 10 years working for the company, I decided in 1982 to go out on my own. I started my own business, and I've been in business ever since. I've been married 39 years. I have 5 children. One of my sons has a business in Ashland. Another one is going to build a house in Ashland. I've been married 39 years, and I've moved out here, and I always wanted a farm. I've got a 158 farm up north of Nankin, and I thought this would be a good opportunity because of my business background. I was a fire chief for 24 years in a small township in Medina County. I have experience in working with Sheriff's Department, emergency management. I have all the training that has to do with going with grant writings. On our department, we wound up doing grants, and I wound up with getting a $175,000 fire truck. And these are the things that I think I could put through this county. It's a beautiful place to live. I've talked to a lot of the rural areas, and I think we all need to work together to make it just further the areas and the departments the way they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haddam. Well, it's now time to begin the questioning segment of the debate. Mr. Barrett will go first to answer question number 1. What proposals do you have to manage the rising costs of county government?
Okay, thank you, Lindsay. And I know one of the big problems we've had generally is the budget has lost approximately $1 million since 2011. Half of that from this local state government fund, the other half just from declining sales tax revenue as part of the overall recession. Interest income's also down because there's very low interest rates. I believe there's 3 basic things we can do. Now I know Job and Family Services and the Children's Services particularly is an important issue, and I hope we're going to get to talk about that. But overall, I think what we need to do is to utilize all means to collect funds that are available, revenue, fees, costs, and grants that might be available to the county and various agencies. I would efficiently use funds. There are ways to take funds and get matching dollars from either federal or state or local or charitable organizations. Children's Services or Child Support Enforcement does this by taking a $25,000 county dollar amount and turning it into an $8 million income by collecting fees that are past due from people that owe child support. And the third thing, community placement alternatives might be possibility. The collaboration, you need to collaborate between different government agencies and private sector agencies can all work together to try to utilize resources that are available. And collaboration is becoming more and more important. In government, private agencies also need to work together with government in order to utilize the resources that are available to the best of their abilities.
Thank you. Mr. Haddam.
Okay. I think we could look at some new technologies. I was talking to some departments, and they're still on the paper mode when they do warrants for their purchases and getting their bills paid. I think they could go to doing it by the computer. It would save time and energy. I think we could do grant writing. I know there's a lot of grants that are not available now, but I think if you go through different departments and see what's needed, and you have somebody that's experienced in grant writing, I think we could accomplish a lot that way. I also think that we could look at the interdepartmental costs and find out if there's anything that we could do for buildings as far as trying to save on energy products. There's a lot of things that aren't going to be our control for the simple reason we have no control on the price of gasoline. We have no control on the price of electricity. So we have to look at maybe we could get better energy consumption products that in our buildings and stuff. These are some of the things we could look for grants for. The other things are, like, we could work together in different departments. Maybe we could share people. These are some of the ideas I've got. The budget is very complicated. It's not broken down enough to where I could look at it and see where exactly everything is going. So I would say until I see all the specifics of it, that's basically what I could accomplish.
Thank you. Mr. Biddle.
I did have bring a copy of the budget with me. There's I'm going to call them buckets, as Pastor Mitchell would call them. There's 56 different buckets here in this budget report. And as I went around to the county departments, cost cutting is about as thin as you're going to get. I mean, I think they've done a very good job of cutting the bare bones as they have done. I've checked with them all. As far as the energy efficiency, I see the county commissioners are already in that direction. They've already got programs for lighting and gas reduction with programs, but they've already started. So I think that the commissioners themselves have done an excellent job trying to keep costs at a minimum. You just can only cut so much. I think the important thing to the community is get the sales tax revenue up. I think we have to increase revenue through increase in jobs, obviously increase in buying things. I don't see in this budget, as I look through it, that there's a whole lot of other places to cut. You can only cut so much. The staff is already at 35 hours a week. They're already paying a lot of their health care costs. I've talked to some of the staff, and they haven't had raises in 8 years and have had money taken out of their income for health care. So they make less money now take home than they did back 8 years ago. So I don't know what more they can do about that. So I think that the idea is to generate more tax base, more revenue, get the economy rolling, get jobs, get people trained to want to work. I think that's where we have to go to get more income. I don't believe in tax increases. I think we have to live within the budget that the community gives us, but I also believe we can raise sales tax dollars by increasing the economy and getting people back to work.
Thank you. Well, now it's time to move on to a 1-minute response from each candidate. Mr. Barrett, please begin.
Yeah, I believe what both gentlemen said are accurate. One thing I might add is I believe I would look closer at bidding, making sure that we're optimizing resources by bidding out contracts for various items. Federal and state agencies already have to do this. I know the county has some leeway in this matter, but I believe bidding gets you the best price overall. Working together, as both gentlemen said, and generating sales tax revenue would be helpful. It's a difficult process because you have to get people working, get more economic activity going. It's a time-consuming process. Mr. Biddle is correct, though, that the county governments are at bare bones for the most part. Children's Services is probably the one area that needs to be looked at.
Thank you. Mr. Haddam.
Okay, I think they're both right when it comes to the budget as far as cutting, okay? And I think in order to increase sales tax, we need to promote business. And being a businessman, I always looked at when you were deferring taxes, and I always thought it was a bad thing because why can't I have my tax deferred? Now I look at it as a different aspect because 50% or 60% of a pie is better than no pie. And once you get that 60% done, if you set the programs up properly, you will be able to get those sales tax, you'll be able to get those people to work. Once those people are working, they'll be able to spend money and we'll be able to generate more revenue. So that would be another approach I would have.
Thank you. Mr. Biddle.
Obviously, we all have the same ideas. I think to me, though, again, the bottom line is creating jobs. And as a bigger issue, getting people to want to work, get them off the public dole. I think it's a very important, as I went through the county and talked to people, and it's just an issue of we need to get people to want to work. There's jobs out there. Is there enough jobs? No, we need more jobs, but there are jobs out there, and majority of people that seems to be on the government dole seems that they don't want to work. I think it's critical that we get people trained to want to work, have their families put back together. That would take a burden off Job and Family Services, but the training to get people to want to work and be proud of who they are and be a good steward of the community is where I think we really need to focus.
Thank you. Our next question will be answered first by Mr. Haddam. Mr. Haddam, is the county in need of additional revenue? If so, what do you propose?
I would say we need to go out and we need to bring business into this county. And any way we could do it, I guess, would be a good option. Tax relief would be an option. Prove to the people that we do have a good workforce here. Give them opportunities that they could grow with. The other thing is, when we do bring people here, I think government should work for the people. I've heard from comments from people that were too government-oriented with all type of rules and regulations. And I'd like to see the inspector or whoever goes into a business say, what can I do to help you? Instead of, this is what you have to do, the correct issues and stuff. Because people are turned off with government. I think government should be the government people that work for the government should be a service to the people, not a hindrance to the people. So we need to get that approach and get people to trust government again. That's what I would do.
Thank you. Mr. Biddle.
Back to the same thing. I think we need to generate jobs, get the economy rolling, get new plants in here like Barbasol. I like the small 100, 250, 25 staff plants. They seem to grow better. They're much more stable than trying to bring in a 500 or 600 plant company. I know I've heard some things from some business people that they're concerned about. Sometimes they don't feel like they're wanted in the community, that we don't do everything that we can do to get them here. I know years ago we lost a plant over to Mansfield. A friend of mine took over there because he didn't feel that this community wanted him, and he was an Ashland person. As I say, no names please, but I think it's important that we take a look at that and make sure that every business is felt like they're wanted here, they're needed here, and also anyone coming in. I think sometimes we'll lose the ball and the focus on maybe some of these up and coming companies that want to come in. I know one in town that just started, a small company in town, has just gotten off the ground, and talked to one of the managers, and he just still yet doesn't feel welcome in the community, but he wants to stay here, his family's here. So those are some issues I think kind of get lost in the shuffle sometimes. I think we lose focus on some of the smaller guys, and I think we need to pay attention to that.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett.
Lindsay, I believe, as both gentlemen said, that bringing jobs in is important and they can feel welcome is important. And I'm certainly not in favor of increasing taxes, and the county has spoken clearly on that matter several times. I believe it's our responsibility to make sure the government's operating as efficiently as possible. And I still think there's a few areas that can be improved. As I've mentioned several times, children's services is one of the areas. I believe the county spends $3,300 per day housing children who are removed from the county. I feel like there are ways to take this amount down. 20% of those homes where children are removed from are in need of relatively minor fixes. And actually, in a job creating mode, it would be possible for people in the community to actually work to help those people who are having a hard time. Most of the 20% are from simply having trouble keeping their home up, cleaning it and keeping it viable for a child. So a cleaning service could come in. You know, we're spending, like I said, in some cases, $300 per day. There's one case in particular where 3 children are out of the home just because it's cluttered and unclean. The children have been out for months, and we've spent $300 a day keeping them in foster care. Well, we could get a really good cleaning service for $300 a day to help those people clean their home up. People in the community could work at those jobs to do those things. I think that's where collaboration comes again. We can take people who are not working and train them to work, and then also help people that are having difficulties. And by doing both, we'll generate money and save money simultaneously.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Mr. Haddam, will you please share with us your 1-minute response?
I think all of us have about the same issues and same ideas. And we're talking about jobs. And until we could get some of the stuff's done with child services and the families and stuff, there's a sign on 42 that says help wanted work. I talked to the gentleman that's got the business, and he says he can only keep people for 3 months because after 3 months they go back on some other program, or they leave, or they're disoriented on the job situation. We need to get families back involved. And I don't know how we're going to do this. Maybe it's through the Job and Family Services and these programs. And once we do that, we have to have people to have pride in what they're doing. And I think once we have pride, we'll be able to get the people to stay in the jobs.
Thank you, Mr. Haddam. Mr. Biddle, please share your 1-minute response. Yep.
It's the same thing that we've talked about. It goes back to training people who doesn't seem to want to work, who seems to continue to be on the government programs, people who don't seem to care about who they are or what they are. It's just a moral issue for me. I think we need to get those people and get them to be proud and happy who they are, and give them a sense of ownership, give them some pride and self-worth of who they are as people. And I think once you get those trained, and I think Job and Family Services, I think local churches can help do that. But until you get the fabric back into the home, we're going to struggle with this thing. And I do believe, for me, that's a real focus for me. Kids are very important to me. And I think getting the family fabric back together is going to be critical for this county and its budget.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett.
And of course, I agree, the idea of the family being a fabric of the community is very, very true in my mind. The issue, we're fighting against the federal government, who continuously shovels money to people when maybe they shouldn't be. I would say we need to come together as a community and use the money we have, and maybe reallocate after we start fixing some of these families, to help them understand what work means, and to work and to productively go to work, and then they have children see their parents going to work. Those are important things. You know, a child has to see work. You know, there are kids, I've talked to Head Start teachers who have told me they have kids come to school and they don't even know how to brush their teeth. Nobody taught them. Their parents, there's such a breakdown that the family is not actually performing its function of teaching children to do what they need to do to live, and that's caring for themselves, caring for their home, and working. And the county and family services could do that.
Thank you. It's now time for our third question, which will be answered first by Mr. Biddle. Mr. Biddle, passing the Ashland County budget is a dynamic and complex process. What is your philosophy regarding the appropriation of the general fund dollars to the various departments?
As I said, I got the budget here in front of me. Now, without spending a lot of time, which I haven't had a chance to do, like I said, there's 56 buckets here, and been going to the commissioners meeting since January, and it does give you an idea how complicated the system is. I don't have any good answers because I don't have the knowledge to say, well, I like this department or that department. It is a complicated issue. I see that they transfer from one bucket to another bucket, and some of it's budgetary, some of it isn't, some of it's requests. The Sheriff's Department was in the other day requesting funds for training, which came from the general fund, which I assumed would have came from the Sheriff's Department's budget, but it doesn't. So there's a lot there. I don't have a lot of good answers because it is so complicated of how it's done and the way they do it. Obviously, I spent some time on it, but until you go to the commissioners' meetings and see how they do appropriate things, it's pretty daunting. So it's going to take some time. The 3 months I've been at this, it's not enough time to really fully understand how they do this. So I really don't have any good answers for how to continue how they do it. I just know I'm learning how to do it. And I think from a business standpoint, I've always said you take and you decide and you look and see what's there. You fact find, you understand the situation, and then you make your decisions and go from there. So the inexperience of not being a county commissioner doesn't allow me to have a real good answer for that one.
Thanks, Mr. Biddle. Mr. Barrett.
Well, obviously, again, as Mr. Biddle said, we're not involved in the day-to-day operations of the county, so it's hard for us to grasp it. But I think, part of our job should be to, and what's happened already is most of the agencies are down to the minimum that they can spend. They have mandatory things they have to do. They can't, like the sheriff has to run the jail, Board of Elections has to run elections, Children's Services has to take care of kids who are in danger. We just have to look at those places where most of the money is being spent and try to make sure those places are handling the money as efficiently as possible. And when we find out that that may not be the case, we need to reconfigure the budget to handle that. The two biggest issues I think that have come up besides Children's Services, the other one is the consolidation of the dispatch center. I think that, as I mentioned before, cooperation's important, collaboration's important. And if we're going to have, say, the Ashland City Police and Fire Department leave the county taking with them $400,000 that the county counts on, leaving the county essentially to dispatch for its own deputies and for a couple of township fire departments, that's not very efficient. The county needs to be involved in the conversation about these. The state and the federal government are mandating the blending together of dispatch centers in Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, southern part of the state. All these areas are moving their centers together to cooperate with each other and to try to utilize funds the most efficiently. So I think we can't afford to have the Sheriff's Department standing there holding a $400-some-thousand bill with no clients. So we need to look at those places that spend money and maybe work on that. And I hope the Sheriff Department gets involved in the discussion. So in fact, that center could be here instead of in Wayne County.
Thank you. Mr. Haddam.
Okay, I think Mr. Biddle hit it on the head. The budget is very complicated, okay? I've got a copy of it myself. And looking at it and talking to some of the department members and stuff, I think there's got to be a lot more communication between the commissioners and the department members, okay? Because they set some guidelines up of what they think they need to operate, then it goes to the commissioners, then the commissioners look at it, and sometimes there's no communication going back and forth. I would like to have open communication. I also would like to have open communication to the people of this county to inform them what all these figures are. This is astounding to find out how much money is spent in different departments, and then when you ask for a levy, people don't understand why. I think if you could communicate with the people, explain to them where their money is going, how it's being spent, and just like the sheriff, okay? I think we need to get the people that's involved in that, sit down at a table and have a good discussion and find out how we could communicate, how we could keep it here, how we could make it more efficient so that everybody is happy. When you get into people, and I've been in all different kind of departments, and you always have egos, and fire departments were noted for that. This guy wanted the biggest truck, that guy wanted a bigger truck than the other department. I wanted a truck that would work and pump water. I didn't care if it had chrome wheels. I didn't have the ego of that. So we need to sit down and talk and find out what's best for this county and make it work so that we can live within this budget.
Thank you, Mr. Haddam. It's now time to move on to the 1-minute response. Mr. Biddle, will you begin?
I'm not sure if you guys are aware, it is a $12 million a year budget, which that is, in my eyes, big business. So it is critical that everybody do play together well, and I think most of them do. I think it is, each department has its own little niche that it needs to take care of, which is different than the rest of them. So it is really hard to get them all the same type of budget, same money, because they all have different needs in the community. Tower department, some departments raise a lot of money, some departments use a lot of money. So it's just getting the whole county to work together as a whole, which I think they do very well now. As far as you happen to bring up the sheriff's dispatch, my personal belief on that, since that's been brought up, I know it's not part of the question, but I think if they're going to try to strip away, the city's going to try to strip away from the county and go into a regional. I feel if you're going to do regional, it needs to be a regional. It needs to be 4 or 5 counties and cities all together.
Thank you.
And not separate.
Thank you very much. Mr. Barrett.
Well, I agree, and my desire would be that the dispatch center's here instead of in Wayne County, because the jobs would be here and the tax base would be here and the people would be coming here. I want everybody in the county, like one of the gentlemen says, to play nice together. We need to all get along and cooperate when these things happen. We can't just all grab our little portion of the pie and run away. The commissioners ultimately are responsible for the allocation of resources, so we have to be willing to go over things with people and say, listen, we need to know what your thoughts are on this and how we're going to solve this problem, not just they come and ask for money and we give it to them, and then when we run out we say we don't have any more. We have to not get to the point where we don't have any more and we start to have to cut things. That's not a good way to run a business. It's not a good way to run a county. So I would encourage the people to work together and utilize a cooperative effort in saving money.
Thank you. Mr. Adam.
Okay, I talked to a lot of people in these departments, and these are a lot of dedicated people. And I don't think you could do anything to change this other than give them more money, which we don't have. I did talk to, like the Sheriff's Department, give you an example. They're going way beyond what a Sheriff's Department is supposed to do. They send people out that are EMTs because when you go out in the way areas of this county, it's a long time before you get a rescue squad to show up. This Sheriff's Department will be there, and he doesn't have to have that deputy to do CPR. And I think whatever these people are doing here are doing a fantastic job. Some of them are going way beyond what they have to do, and I would stick up for anybody that's on this sheet right here.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett will be first to answer our 4th and final question for the first round of tonight's debate. Mr. Barrett, in 1 minute, please tell Republican voters why they should vote for you.
Well, I think I'm one of you, and as I've done in my academic career, is I hold office hours, and I will do that same thing for the community. I will be available for them. I will even travel to see them. I had people, when I was getting my petition signed, start to talk to me about issues, and they said they didn't know who to go and talk to. I said, well, you can talk to me. If I'm there, I will come see you, or you can come meet me, or wherever you want to do. I will be available to you. It'll be my full-time job. I'm not going to be doing anything else. I have, set aside that this is going to be what I will do, and I believe it's a full-time job. At a county that has this size of a budget, the people that allocate the money have to be able to do that, and I will do it. I will spend time with people, and I will go see them. I will meet with them. I will hear them out, and I will meet with the elected officials and the other officials and make sure that everything is good. And John's right, everybody that works here is good. I know a lot of the people that work for the county, and they're all really hardworking and they try hard.
Thank you. Mr. Haddam.
I would like the voters to go out May 6th because I think we can change government. A lot of voters are giving up, okay? And I think that I could try to help change that attitude. With my experience of business, with my experience on the fire department, with my experience doing emergency services, I really think I could help this county do better than what we're doing. And I think that we could do it in a positive way, and I think we could do it where everybody would work together. It would be my goal to try to stay within this budget and have people work together. And I think what's good about this county and about this area, you go and talk to somebody, they got a smile on their face, and you're not afraid to go say hello to people. And that's hard to come by in other areas. Thank you.
Mr. Biddle.
Last but not least. No, I've obviously been, like I said, a lifelong Ashland County resident. My children's here, my grandchildren's here. I have a vested interest, business-wise, in here also. But I think it's my experience in business, my knowledge of the community. It is a full-time position, which it will be for me from the business standpoint. I've got managers that take care of that for me, so time's not an issue for me. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I usually get home about 8 o'clock at night. So long days are part of who I am. So I think because of the business atmosphere and what business I do have in town here, that I'm always available, whether at the office or at my business. You can find me. I'm easy to get a hold of, easy accessible, and I do think it's time small business get involved in the community to help it grow and have a different set of eyes, and to take a look at this from a business perspective.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you to Mr. Denny Biddle, Mr. Michael Barrett, and Mr. John Haddam for joining us tonight. At this time, we will be taking a short commercial break, and when we return, we will have Mr. Mike Bender and Mr. Justin Van Stee join us for the second portion of the Ashland County Commissioner debate.
Ashland University's Journalism and Digital Media Department is the only fully converged and integrated program in Ohio. And our award-winning student newspaper covers our campus and beyond. WRDL 88.9 FM broadcasts news, sports, and top 40 music 24 hours a day to Ashland County. JDM majors apply converged skills in practical, hands-on labs, using state-of-the-art hardware and software content creation tools, alongside our multi-award-winning faculty in a great facility. Ashland University's Journalism and Digital Media Department, creating converged digital media professionals for the 21st century. Storytellers wanted.
The candidates drew straws beforehand, and Mr. Van Stee will be up first for opening statements.
Well, thanks for having me here tonight. I'm Justin Van Stee, and I'm hoping to be your next candidate, or hoping to be your next county commissioner. Local, been here in Ashland since about 1981. I've been married to my wife Jill for 17 years this June, have a daughter Erica, and she's in second grade at Hillsdale. I'm also the owner of Takedown Tactical, which is located out on 58 here in Ashland. My goals for the commissioner office are basically three things: economic development, developing fair funding for all county agencies, then also increasing the communication between the county commissioner's office and the people that report to them, as well as the constituents here in the county. For the most part, Ashland County doesn't have a spending problem. We've got a revenue problem. However, with that, you can't tax your way into prosperity. You've got to figure out other ways to fill those revenue streams to get back up into it. Basically promoting Ashland County, getting more jobs in here is going to be a huge thing. I've been working with the Economic Development Office here in Ashland for several other large companies, trying to get them here, and trying to promote it any way we can.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bender.
Hi, I'm Mike Bender, running for Ashland County Commissioner. I was born and raised in Ashland County, born in Loudonville. Went to school at Loudonville, received the Kettering Scholarship Award. Went on to ATI-OSU. When I was in school, I was in FFA in high school, and I learned some very valuable lessons in parliamentary procedure that later, 12 years later, it helped me out when I became a trustee for Lake Township. In 1993, I was elected, and I've been a trustee ever since. I'm doing this. I'd like to step up to the plate. This is my second term on the Ashland County Planning Commission. I work with Kathy Berg on economic development. I know Kathy Goon. I've been real close with a lot of the people up here in Ashland over the years. Marilyn Beyer helped me. I was born a Democrat, ran no party for years, and then Marilyn Byers helped me understand the system. Nobody would help me, and she did. And that's when I became a Republican, and along with Cindy Funk and John Good and some other people, Phil Leibolt, but I think I can make an impact on Ashland County. I guess my goals are to help try and straighten out, some of the things that are going on that I really wasn't aware of till the last few days. We're getting into this pretty deep. I think I can make an impact. And if I become commissioner, I hope when I leave I have made a change in the system.
Thank you. Mr. Bender, you'll also go first to answer question number 1. What proposals do you have to manage the rising costs of government, of the county government?
I guess my proposals would be to research the budget more, maybe change some, see what grant monies are available, maybe reappropriate the system. There's so many different things to look at as far as safety of the community, the sheriff's department, children's services, just a lot of things.
Thank you. Mr. Van Stee, what proposals do you have to manage the rising costs of county government?
The first thing would be more shared systems. If there's a way to privatize things, let the private sector do it more than the public sector. Private sector historically has been able to do things a lot better and a lot cheaper with what they have. We need to figure out what's going on with children's services here in Ashland County. The exponential increase in their budget, basically is strangling the rest of the county agencies. You look at the sheriff's department, for instance. They have 3 to 4 people on a shift, and it's a challenge for anybody to even respond safely. The jails at minimum staffing or below. So we need to, figure out first and foremost what's going on with the children's services function of it. By doing that, that'll help free up some funds and then be able to spend more wisely in other areas.
Okay, thank you. It's now time to move on to each candidate's 1-minute response. Mr. Bender.
Oh, I'm sorry. What would you propose, like the sheriff's department? There's a lot of things that they need a lot of money out there. I guess I don't really have a good debate for what he answered there.
Mr. Van Stee.
Nothing further.
Okay, so our next question will be answered first by Mr. Van Stee. Is the county in need of additional revenue? If so, what do you propose?
Yeah, as I said, Ashland County doesn't have a spending problem. There is a revenue problem. We're currently working off of, if I remember correctly, around $2007, $2008 in the county. Everything else has gone up in price since then. So yeah, there is a need to get more of a revenue stream built. Taxing your way into it isn't going to happen, but increasing the tax flow that's coming in through jobs, through more people moving into the area, that's how it's going to be happening.
Thank you. Mr. Bender.
I'm not one to raise taxes, but I feel that if we had to have extra tax, I wouldn't want to put it to the landowner or the farmers to generate the revenue. I know there's a 1/4% sales tax out there left, but I'm against raising taxes, but sometimes you just don't know what to do. I could answer this a lot better if I was living a little more and more involved with it at this point, but taxes aren't. I think if we watch the spending, that would be the best thing.
Okay. Now it's time to move on to the 1-minute response to each other's questions. Mr. Van Stee?
I agree with what he said. We've put, or the county put the 1/4% up to the voters here for the Children's Services Levy, and it got voted down. There is additional revenue that is needed, but I think right now the citizens are seeing it where it's not, it's not being spent wisely, and that needs to be figured out why it's not being spent that way, and get it back to where the county, some of the agencies are willing to say, hey, yeah, we're willing to go in and give you some more money to do this, or figure out why exactly that it's not being done that way.
Thank you. Mr. Bender?
Well, I agree with the way what he's saying there on, watch the way it's being spent.
Okay. Thank you. Our third question will be answered first by Mr. Bender. Mr. Bender, passing the Ashland County budget is a dynamic and complex process. What is your philosophy regarding the appropriation of general fund dollars to the various departments?
Well, if the money's there, appropriating money to accounts that need it, let me see, how do I explain this? Like if there was money generated, if you could get grant money, extra grant money from the state or the federal, and then appropriate money to the different areas that need it the worst, if you can't get a specific grant for that area, or I guess that's all I have to say about it.
Okay, Mr. Van Stee.
Appropriations, yeah, I mean, there's only a finite amount of money to work with. There's X amount, and right now, Children's Services and the Sheriff's Office, the Children's Services being the biggest, and then the Sheriff's Office being the having the most employees during it, are requiring the most of it. There needs to be a better way to fund those and to appropriate it more fairly. Is it, instead of doing just a Children's Services levy, do a complete Human Services levy where 3 of the 4 agencies could share to it? That's a possibility. Is it using more private families, relatives, and things like that to host children in rather than spending several $100s a day to host them? That's a possibility too.
Thank you. It's time to move on to each candidate's 1-minute response. Mr. Bender.
Yes.
Pass.
Like Children's Services, if they could, instead of farming some of their in-county and out-of-county expenses and have more foster homes, I think that'd be cheaper as running Children's Services. As far as Sheriff's Department, why, are we on the Sheriff's Department too here?
It's whatever you guys are discussing.
Yeah. I agree that the Sheriff's Department needs more money. We need to figure out how to keep our community safe, keep them happy.
All right, thank you. Mr. Van Stee.
One of the other larger appropriations, I guess, hasn't been touched on is just the maintenance and the upkeep of the county facilities and properties that are out there. I think a lot of the maintenance that's been done here lately has been basically on a strictly reactionary and not a proactionary basis. And that's going to be one thing that comes up out of our, out of the budget in the future years that's going to need some direct appropriations needed.
Okay. Mr. Van Stee will be first to answer our 4th and final question for the first round. Mr. Van Stee, in 1 minute, please tell Republican voters why they should vote for you.
I've got the opportunity to bring some young blood back here into the, or younger blood back here into the county and the government. I've got a very sound business background. I've been a small business owner for 14 years now. I've dealt with government funding since the mid-1990s as far as selling to them and giving the budget for equipment. I'm definitely on the extreme conservative side of it. I'm not for raising taxes unless it's an absolutely have to. And even then, we're going to take another hard look at things on what needs done. I just appreciate their trust and their confidence in myself, and I think I can really do them a good job.
Thank you. Mr. Bender, in 1 minute, please tell Republican voters why they should vote for you.
I have a background of a proven experience with the township level and dealing with the county level for the last 21 years or so, and I feel that this is the greatest county in Ohio out of the 88, and I'd really look forward to working with everybody out here, Barb and Mike, and I don't want to see taxes go up, but there are ways to improve the system. Like I said, you just have to be in it and dig deep and work hard.
Thank you very much. Well, that concludes the questioning segment. We wish both of you the most luck for May 6th coming up in the primary. That concludes tonight's debate. You have been watching the Ashland County Commissioners debate live on AUTV-20 and listening live on the radio at 88.9 FM WRDL. I would like to thank the candidates for joining us this evening for our debate. I'd also like to thank Ashland University for providing the television studios tonight, and also thank the Ashland County Young Republicans for sponsoring tonight's debate. Special thanks to Mr. Andrew Keller for serving as timekeeper for the candidates. And also I'd like to thank all of the students and faculty of the Department of Journalism and Digital Media of Ashland University. Please join us again April 22nd for our next County Commissioner debate. Thank you, have a good night, and don't forget to vote May 6th.